to Studio D on the campus of the University of Oklahoma. This is Sooner Sports Pad. And now, your host, Chloe Sparks.
Welcome to Sooner Sports Pad, everyone. I'm your host, Chloe Sparks, here alongside our analysts, Parker Thune and Kemper Ball. Wow, guys, what a game. It was thrilling. It was electric. It was OU Texas 2020, and it was one for the books. To start, one Sooner who's going to be around for a while is freshman Marvin Mims. He began with a big punt return and then went on to score the Sooners' first touchdown with this 30-yard scoring pass from Spencer Rattler. And more special teams chipped in. David Agwebu blocked a Texas punt in the second quarter and made the recovery. This allowed for a Marcus Major touchdown run that put Oklahoma up 17-10. As you all know, this game made history with 4 overtimes. In the top half, Rattler was at his scrambling best. But here in OT, he finds his buddy Drake Stoops for a 25-yard TD. And with that, a successful 2-point play that put the Sooners up by 8. And finally, the clincher. Texas quarterback Sam Ehlinger knows he needs a touchdown, but on the overthrow, it's Trey Brown, who nails his spot in the record books. Lincoln and his squad rolled out of the Cotton Bowl with a 53-45 win. Now, Parker, Kemper, what did you guys take away from this beating on Texas?
Well, quick note there, Chloe. The touchdown pass from Rattler to Mims and the touchdown pass from Rattler to Stoops, exact same play design. So Lincoln Riley has clearly figured out what works and what doesn't. But no, I'll tell you what, here's a stat for you, Kemper. Heading into this game, the winner of the rushing yards battle had won the past 18 of 20 Red River showdowns. So if the Sooners were going to win this game on Saturday, they had to control the pace of the game via the run, and they did that with TJ Pledger and Marcus Major. There you see Major taking it in from 7 yards out for his first collegiate touchdown. TJ Pledger was the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week, and for good reason. 22 carries, 131 yards, and 2 touchdowns, a career day for the Florida kid. In Seth McGowan's absence, the Sooners needed huge performances from Marcus Major and TJ Pledger, and both those guys grew up in this game on Saturday.
Yeah. I'd probably say the biggest takeaway from this game was the years it took off my life. I don't know about you guys, but I was stressing. But one thing I wasn't stressing about was OU's defensive line. Now, you guys know I love to shout out the defense whenever they do something well, and they did a lot right this week, holding Texas's running backs to only 34 yards. That's through 4 quarters and 4 overtimes. As Parker said, dominating the rushing battle in OU Texas, such a vital part of winning that game in the last 20 years. And the Sooners dominated the run game. Most of their run yards came on broken pass plays from quarterback Sam Ehlinger, which is going to happen when you play an experienced 4th-year quarterback like that. But the Sooners held their ground. Chloe talked about the blocked punt, the blocked field goal, all the defensive line units, all of them killing it, kept us in this game.
How about 9 sacks last year for the Sooners against Ehlinger? 6 this year.
15 in the last 2 years. I swear that's more than OU gets in a season against anyone else.
We've mentioned it a couple of times, but let's go back to Drake Stoops' game winner, guys. Let's give that a standing ovation. In the 4th OT, Rattler sneaks through the pocket to the 25-yard line, launching the ball. Guys, he sneaks through this pocket right here, launching the ball to Drake Stoops, running it in for his first touchdown at the Cotton Bowl. Guys, that's what allowed us to win this game in the first place. If that isn't something to give an extra clap for, I don't know what is. Can you guys top that play, though?
Chloe, I feel like the fact that this game lasted nearly 5 hours means there were so many phenomenal plays that we forgot about. So I'm going to kick it back to the first overtime and show you one of those plays. Spencer Rattler's going to throw a 50-50 ball. And, hey, if you're going to throw one of those, why not throw it to the guy that's 6'6", 260? Austin Stogner got up for that and brought it down. And, hey, the Sooners had just surrendered 21 unanswered points. They were down 38-31, and that play was on 3rd and 7. If Stogner doesn't make that catch, the Sooners are looking at 4th and 7 with the game on the line. That was a huge play for the Sooners on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'd call that a 50-50 ball. That just looked like a good ball from Rattler. For me, I'm going a different direction. I'm going one I kind of hinted at earlier. I'm going with the overtime blocked field goal. This kept the Sooners in this game. As a defensive lineman, Perrion Winfrey gets up and just gets a finger. It's just a fingernail that he gets on that ball. Now, this play ended up being huge to seal the win for the Sooners. See, because the next drive, Gabe Burkich missed the field goal. That kept the Sooners in this game, kept it tied. But if Burkich misses that field goal and we don't have that block, the Sooners lose that game. That field goal decides the game. Ended up being huge for that game. Could end up being huge for the season as it goes on.
You've heard what we've had to say about this Texas game. Now let's hear what the coaches and players actually have to say in Crimson Critique.
It's not always easy, I mean, it's Texas, last time I checked, they got some pretty good football players and pretty good football coaches too, so you're going to have some plays go against you. And I thought we handled it and we were able to turn momentum a lot quicker in this game than we had the other games. And, I think that's why we won eventually.
Throughout the game, we knew we were going to have adversity. It's a thing we talked about all week, all year really. And just like I said, we just stuck to the bottom line. We strained to the ball and just kept fighting.
What did you think about what Coach had to say about that?
Well, I thought it was great that the Sooners made just enough plays to win a close football game like that. Yep. Because let's be frank, that's the kind of game that Oklahoma has lost time in and time out. And you saw one of those guys, Woody Washington, there made his first career interception on Saturday, and that turned out to be a huge play in the flow of the game. Really pivotal moment for the Sooners. They got 3 takeaways. So Speed D, there it is.
Like Grinch is always talking about those takeaways. We finally got to see it this week. And what I took away is I'd like a fact check on Lincoln Riley saying that there are good players at Texas. Because outside of Sam Ellinger, I sure didn't see that on the field on Saturday. That guy had no help on the line. He had no help from his receivers. I mean, that is a down program. I'm glad we've got that guy coaching us and not Tom Herman.
There's more up next with OU volleyball star Keaton Kinley. Stick around.
Thank you to our Cornerstone Television partners, OU Medicine, Anheuser-Busch, and the OU College of Professional and Continuing Studies, and our community partners, Landers Auto Group, Coca-Cola, and OU Medicine.
Welcome back to Sooner Sports Pad. Thanks for tuning back in. Sooner Sports Pad's Lindsey Gibbs got the chance to catch up with senior Keaton Kinley, the volleyball player. Let's check it out.
Tonight on Sooner Sports Pad, we have Libero of the Year in the Big 12, Keaton Kinley on Sports Pad. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So excited.
So you just matched up with the Baylor Bears over the weekend. You had a season high of 19 digs. What are some pregame rituals that you do to kind of get yourself in the zone?
We have a few as a team. We always swag surf before the game, so that's a big one for me. And then I just like to take some time for myself and really get my music in my headphones alone and get in a corner and really just visualize what the game's going to go and just take some time alone with myself and my thoughts. So.
Well, Keaton, you transferred here as a sophomore from Tennessee. You became the second Sooner in program history to reach over 500 digs in a single season. And then you did it again your junior year. So what are your expectations going into your senior season?
Yeah, personally, just three-peating Libero of the Year, that would be great, and just continuing to set the threshold for all of the Liberos to come after me and just getting as a team back to the tournament and continuing this winning upward trajectory that we've been having for the past few years. So.
And as a senior on the volleyball team, what's it like being a leader for the new younger players on the team?
They're like sponges. All of them have been so awesome. We do have a lot of new girls and young ones and fresh faces. So they're really just taking in all the information that they can get from us older girls and the seniors. So continuing to just be positive for them, but also knowing the standard that we have and holding everyone accountable and being sometimes the bad cop when I have to be to keep us all on the right path towards winning. So it's been great with all the young ones.
And coming off a loss over the weekend, the Sooners look to host Kansas this Friday and Saturday. So what are you focusing on most this weekend?
Yeah, definitely just getting back onto the court with each other and having this extra week of practice to get everything figured out. Baylor and Texas, our first 2 games, were the best 2 teams in the country. So we learned a lot about ourselves and what we need to do to beat the other teams in our conference. So just going back to what we know and what we do best, serving, passing, and defending, and really tightening up those loose ends so we're ready to go to Kansas this week.
Well, Keaton, thank you so much for being here on Sooner Sports Pad. Chloe, I'm tossing it right back to you in the studio.
And the Lady Field Fairies just got a new coach. Let's hear about the new addition from Sooner Sports Pad's Sydney Bollier.
Everyone knows what a powerhouse the U.S. women's soccer program is. And now John Crane Field can expect a taste of that excellence following the most recent additions to the OU soccer staff. In late 2019, OU brought on new head coach Mike Carr, who brings a wealth of experience to the table. Following 7 years with the U.S. Soccer Federation, Coach Carr returns to college ball, seeking a new challenge with the Sooners.
They're just a special group. I've been here 8 months and these kids have given everything, and everything's been really positive.
Alongside Carr is fellow new hire Kat Mertz, an experienced former goalkeeper with several years of coaching under her belt. The pair coached at UCLA together and now bring their rapport to Norman. After several middling seasons under Matt Potter, the Sooners will have to adapt to the new style of coaching and trust a number of fresh faces.
Our new staff has been awesome. They're very supportive. They're big on being one big family. It's been a great transition, and we've learned a lot from them.
Ball in place, tied at 1. Less than 10 minutes left.
The Sooners opened up home play with a nail-biting 2-2 double overtime draw against Texas Tech. And last Friday, they fell to Iowa State 1-0. But Coach Carr looks forward to the rest of conference play, confident that the Sooners are on an upward trend.
Yes, we want points. Yes, we want to win championships. But for us right now, we're in a moment where we're just trying to get better from game to game.
The Sooners will rely on a veteran offensive force with several senior returners such as Erica Yost and Emma Ledbetter. Oklahoma also boasts strong leadership in the backfield with senior goalie Nikki Panis. They'll travel up to Manhattan, Kansas this Friday to take on the Wildcats. I'm Sydney Bollier, Sooner Sports Pad.
That's it for now, but stick around. We've got more Texas to talk and Face Off up next. Welcome back to Sooner Sports Pad, everyone. It's time for Face Off. Parker, Kemper, are you guys ready?
Face off.
Locked in.
All right, we've got the first question here. We saw Tanner Mordecai play in the Texas game. What does that mean? Is it beneficial for Spencer Rattler?
In the moment, Chloe, I think it was absolutely beneficial. I thought it was a brilliant maneuver by Lincoln Riley because it allowed Rattler an opportunity to come back down to earth a little bit. Here's a guy that carries a lot of expectations as a former 5-star recruit, and he's got all the physical tools, and we saw flashes of that on Saturday as we've seen throughout the year. But I think it's fair to say there's also still an element of immaturity in the way that he plays the quarterback position, and I think it's also fair to say that he wasn't quite ready for the moment. And putting Mordecai in for those 2 drives allowed Rattler to sit back, take stock of the moment, collect his thoughts, recover from those 2 turnovers mentally, and prepare himself to come out in the second half and lead the Sooners to a victory, which he did. So it paid off for Lincoln Riley, and all things considered, I thought it was a perfect decision for the time being.
Yep.
All right, Kipper.
Hindsight is always 20/20, and the gamble did pay off. The Sooners ended up coming back. Rattler looked great in the second half. But for me, nothing has changed. Spencer Rattler's our starting quarterback heading into this week. He's our starting quarterback heading into next week, and we just better hope he stays healthy because I did not like what I saw from Tanner Mordecai. He threw some duck balls. He overthrew some receivers. He underthrew some receivers. He only threw like 5 passes. He only completed 5 passes. 2 of them were bailout, great catches by his receivers, Marvin Mims and Charleston Rambo. And there's nothing that Tanner Mordecai can do on the football field that Spencer Rattler can't do better. There's not one throw that Tanner Mordecai can make that Spencer Rattler can't. There's nothing on the football field Tanner Mordecai can do that Spencer Rattler can't. And I think, the Sooner fans have been so back and forth on Spencer Rattler. Depending on what week you ask, he's either the second coming of Patrick Mahomes or he's never played football in his life. There's no in between with OU fans this year. And they just need to calm down. Pump the brakes. He's a freshman. He's made some freshman mistakes.
There's no quarterback controversy in Norman.
No, there's no quarterback controversy in Norman. And I think everyone just needs to calm down, check their expectations. He's off to a great start. He's completing a higher percentage of his passes through his first 4 games than Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray was. He's off to a good start. Everyone just needs to calm down, chill, take a deep breath. He's going to be fine.
Now, what impact does this game have on the rest of the season?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's fun to speculate and prognosticate about the Sooners maybe getting back in the thick of things for a 6th consecutive Big 12 championship.
That is fun.
But the last thing I think the Sooners need to do is get caught looking too far down the road. Because here's the thing. This was a great win for the Sooners. They should enjoy it. I'm glad that they have a bye week to relish it all the more. However, on the other side of the bye, you got to go down to Ammon G. Carter Stadium in Fort Worth to take on a TCU team that's going to be eager to knock you back down. And this was a team that took Oklahoma down to the wire in Norman last year, 28-24 the final there. Max Duggan can play some ball at the quarterback position. Between him and Rattler, you're looking at two of the best quarterbacks in the class of 2019 going toe-to-toe. And the Sooners can't take anything for granted going down to TCU's building in 2 more Saturdays from now.
TCU always makes me nervous. I don't know why. Just TCU always gives me the shakes when we're going to play them. I don't know. But for me, I'm going with the possibility, I kind of hinted at earlier that blocked field goal might have saved the Sooners' seasons. I think there is still a possibility that the Sooners find themselves in the Big 12 championship game this year. Now, the Sooners are going to have to get lucky because, unfortunately, the Sooners no longer control their own destiny. With a loss to Kansas State, they're going to need Kansas State to lose 2 Big 12 games. They have not lost any Big 12 games yet. They did just hand TCU their first Big 12 loss. That's going to be huge for us since TCU got that win over Texas. But right now, the big opponents standing in our way are Oklahoma State and Kansas State. Oklahoma State still has to play Iowa State, Texas, Kansas State, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, TCU, and Baylor. Kansas State still got to just hand TCU that loss. They've still got to play Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Baylor, and University of Texas. There is a lot of losable games for those 2 teams. It opens the door for the Sooners to just slip back in there. And the other thing to remember, Rattler, freshman, a lot of guys not playing right now. They're suspended. They've been out with COVID. They've been out with injuries. They're going to keep coming back. We're going to keep getting stronger. The Sooners are going to get better as the weeks go on. And I think by the end of the year, the Sooners at the very least will have a chance to play spoiler for Oklahoma State, if not get into the Big 12 championship themselves.
And the conference is wide open, which bodes very well for the Sooners.
Yes, absolutely. And, Texas dropping the ball this weekend, way more wide open.
Now it's time for the final round of face-off. Show me what you have this week for viral videos.
Well, I tell you what, Chloe, my viral video ought to give everybody in this room chills because this past weekend we witnessed the culmination of one of the most impressive personal comeback stories in the history of sports. On November 18th, 2018, Alex Smith's athletic career should have been over. And for those of you who are squeamish, you're going to want to look away here. Alex Smith, in taking a sack, suffered a compound fracture of both bones in his lower leg, and this injury nearly cost him his life. Folks, he developed sepsis after an emergency procedure to stabilize his leg. Doctors told him at one point that amputation above the knee was the only viable option, but he wasn't just determined to keep his leg, he was determined to return to the professional football field, and yesterday he did just that in front of his wife and 3 children, taking the field for the Washington football team 2 years and 17 surgeries later. Alex Smith, a tip of the cap to you, sir. What an unbelievably poignant moment.
Incredible. It's brave. It's one of the great comeback stories we've had, but I'm going with a different comeback story. I don't know if you guys knew there was a little basketball game on last night. And there was a man in that game. They said after he left the Cleveland Cavaliers, he wouldn't win another ring. But ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Smith is a champion once again. Let's take a look at the celebration.
3-time, all right. 3-time, and he back to back. Talk to him nice. Yeah. 3-time, and he back to back.
As far as I could tell, J.R. Smith came out of the locker room at halftime with his shirt already off and a bottle of champagne in his hands. He was ready to go. And I'm imagining he was tired because he put in work in those finals. 10 total minutes in 6 games. That's incredible. 3 shot attempts only, but it's okay because I'm sure he got plenty of shot attempts in the celebration.
Dude is the consummate hype.
Yeah, you know
that's all
man.
you can say.
Good on, man.
Well, guys, now it's time to cheer the loudest for who you think won. Let's give it up for Parker if you think Parker won. Houston? All right, now let's give it up for Kemper. All right, I'm sorry, Parker, but it's obviously going to Kemper this time. And also, guys, for those of you who haven't heard, the Sooner sports family lost a legend over the weekend. Kemper's grandfather, Paul Merchant. He was a member of the Sooners' 1947 men's Final Four basketball team that beat Texas in the national semifinals. Sooner fans will miss him dearly. He was 96. We'll be right back. Men's tennis is going to be in Fort Worth Friday through Sunday. There they will face TCU, Texas, and Oklahoma State. In volleyball, the ladies are hosting Kansas on Friday and Saturday. Friday's game is set for 6 o'clock and Saturday will be at 4. Soccer is traveling to Manhattan to play Kansas State at 7. And the cross-country Sooners are competing in the OSU Invitational on Saturday at 9 a.m. Lastly, men's golf will tee off in the Merido Invitational for a Sunday tourney. And now it is time for Sports Pad Trivia. The analyst with the most questions right wins the game. Are you guys ready?
We are ready. And just to be clear here, these are buzzers. We're not looking up the answers on our phones.
Yes.
All right, let's
Thank you. Okay. First question. How long is the longest game in Red River rivalry history? Parker Thin.
4 hours and 43 minutes this past Saturday.
Man, it's like it's engraved in your head. Correct.
Well,
Parker with
what a
1
nerd.
point. Kemper with 0. Okay, next question. What was the score of the lowest scoring game in OU Texas history?
You don't know.
Come
You
on.
want to give this one a shot?
I'll take a guess.
Kemper?
I don't know, like 10,
Way
7?
too high. Way too high. Parker?
Was it 3-0?
So close.
Ah, dang it.
Kemper?
It wasn't like 2-0 or something.
Yep.
What?
Kemper's got it. 1-1. All right, guys,
When?
the tiebreaker.
Congratulations.
What year was that?
I'm impressed with you. Here we
The
go.
tiebreaker. Which legendary Texas head coach actually played for the Sooners? Parker.
Who is Daryl Royal?
Yes.
couldn't
And Parker
remember.
takes the gold. All right,
wouldn't
guys, thank
remember
you so much for joining Sooners Sports Pad tonight. We'll be back here again next week, same time, same place. Be sure to check out all of our social media for the behind-the-scenes coverage. Have a good night.